morning. I want everyone to just take a minute, if you will, and just take a deep breath with me. Count to 4, breathing in, hold it for 4, and then out for 8. Everyone feel welcome to kind of drop into your bodies. It's been hot lately, so maybe it's been hard to occupy and be in your bodies sometimes. But I invite you to just drop into your body and be present this morning. We're glad to have you, every one of you. Welcome, welcome, welcome to the First Parish in Framingham. We're a welcoming congregation, so whoever you are, whomever you love, wherever you are on life's journey, you're welcome here. Wherever we meet you this morning, whether you're whimsical or happy or grieving, wherever you are, we welcome you. And we welcome you during this time of worship, whether you're here in the meeting house or online, and I invite you to wave at the folks online right there on that camera. Or whenever you might be watching this service in the future, it'll be available online. My name is Reverend Judd, or just Judd, and I use he, him pronouns. And I'm serving as your worship associate this morning. Please take a moment to turn your phones or other devices to their quietest settings. I know I've been in the pew and my vibration goes off and all of a sudden the whole pew is rocking. Anyway, that's fine, but quietest settings. While electronic noises can be distracting, we welcome your human noises, especially the sound of your singing and your laughter, so please join in. This service is a service for all ages. We welcome your gentle movements and your participation. And my friends, since 1701, people have gathered as this community to rest, to recharge. Come on in, welcome. To be challenged, to be affirmed. Those people are like you. You belong here. Maybe for only this hour, maybe longer. We hope for longer. We are happy to have you all with us. Let us now say our call to worship. Found? Nope? Okay.
Good morning. I'm Pastor Madeline, and before I call us all into worship, I want to note that we have a consortium this summer of 4 congregations here in Framingham, Weston, Wayland, and Sherburne. And I believe we have folks from all 4 congregations here. So I am not one to ask newcomers to identify themselves. But I'm going to ask contingents just to raise your hand. Where are the Wayland folks? Wayland folks. And where are the Weston folks? Weston folks. And Sherburne folks? Okay, and we're in Framingham, so we have a lot of Framingham folks and some visitors as well. So welcome one and all. And I'm going to say that this is not where we worship when it's not summer. We're over in the meeting house, which is lovely. We don't get to sit in a circle over there. It's also not air conditioned over there. So this is the coolest place in First Parish in Framingham right now. I'm going to ask us to do one more thing, which is to scoot back just a little bit. Because we have more folks than we were anticipating, which is great. But there's always room for more, right? Just like Jell-O. Okay. Come. Enter into this space made holy by our presence. Enter into this hour made holy by our intention. We recognize that even as we think independently, we are in community together and we are dependent upon one another. Enter into this community gathered for this hour. Let us enter in and let us worship together.
Friends, the flaming chalice is a symbol of Unitarian Universalism. And this morning we kindle the flame of our faith in the cup of our covenant. I invite you to rise in body or spirit in joining our first hymn this morning, Gathered Here.
Now, the words, I believe, are in your order of service. Yes, they are. And we're going to sing this a few times. And if you are really bold, you can follow me in doing some motion with this.
Gathered here. You are invited to remain standing as we sing and then speak our affirmations. Welcome. Come on in. Okay.
The affirmations are on the laminated sheet, and we're going to have to share, but we can do that, right? We'll start with the sung affirmation. We're going to sing it in English and in Portuguese. And then when we get to the spoken affirmation, please speak it in the language most comfortable to you. I'll wait until we get some more chairs in here. There's always room for more chairs. From all that dwell below the skies, let songs of hope and faith arise. Let peace, goodwill on earth be sung, through every land, by every tongue. Je todo sobo amplos que suba feo canto eu veu, que a paz e o bem sejam cantadas por toda a terra e em toda a nação. Love is the doctrine of this church. The quest of truth is its sacrament, and service is its prayer. To dwell together in peace, to seek knowledge in freedom, to serve all life with compassion, to the end that all souls shall grow into harmony with the divine. This is our great covenant, one with another and with our God. We have a time for all ages, regardless of the ages present in the room, because it's a time for all ages. Did anybody celebrate the 4th of July yesterday with friends or picnics? Or who braved outdoors yesterday? Oh, my. Brave souls. Okay. Anybody celebrate watching movies? I did. I watched 1776. Yeah, that's a good one. And I watched Hamilton. I love Hamilton. Does anybody love Hamilton? You've never seen it. I highly recommend. And one of the things that's a common thread in Hamilton and in 1776 is the idea that we don't want a king, no kings. That's a common refrain these days. No kings. We can govern ourselves. Friends, I want to tell you that Unitarian Universalists are primed for this idea of we can govern ourselves. We can do it ourselves. The Unitarians in particular came out of the gathered churches in the Massachusetts Bay Colony, the people who left England because they didn't want any bishops telling them what to do. We don't need no stinking bishops, right? We will choose our own ministers. We will govern ourselves. In fact, many of these people, in about 1648 or so, during the English Civil War, went back to England to fight with the Roundheads, with Oliver Cromwell. Yeah. We really don't want kings. But friends, even our early proto-Unitarian, I will call them, proto-Unitarian ancestors in the gathered churches of the Massachusetts Bay Colony, please come in, have a seat. Even those very early proto-Unitarians recognized that independence from bishops, independence from a king eventually, independence is not the same as rugged individualism. It's not the same as doing everything all by yourself. And those churches, they gathered together and they created something called the Cambridge Platform. The Cambridge Platform is a foundational document. It's our first covenant. It's the covenant of those gathered churches in the Massachusetts Bay Colony. No kings, no bishops, but agreeing together on how we would govern ourselves, agreeing together that we need one another and that we will support one another. So as we celebrate this Independence Day, let us recall that it is independence from government by one person, independence from a king. But it's not the same as being all alone. It requires us to care for one another. We're not singing anybody out. So I'm going to ask Judd, could you grab the book in the back, the Joys and Concerns book? This is a time that we share our prayers, our meditations, our thoughts for this community and the community beyond. And you may submit your joys or sorrows, your thanksgivings, your concerns online. And there were no online submissions today. Or you may submit them in this book, which resides most of the year in the rear of the meeting house, and today here in Scott Hall. And we aren't lighting candles for this morning, but we're still going to sing There Is a Love, and those words are in your order of service. You might have noticed that the order of service, you have to flip it over to, it's a little bit of a puzzle this morning, right? We're just having some fun with you. Keep us in order in a topsy-turvy world. We have one joy this morning. Laura W. says that her joy is picking harvest from my garden and giving excess to my neighbors. What a wonderful joy. So let us give thanks for that, and let us sing the first verse of There Is a Love, holding me the first time. There is a love holding me. There is a love holding all that I love. There is a love holding all. I rest in this love. Beloveds, we have many prayers, many joys, sorrows, thanksgivings, concerns that rest deep in the recesses of our hearts, that are too tender to speak sometimes, or sometimes we don't even know how to give voice to them yet. So let us hold space for all those unspoken prayers. And then let us sing the second verse of There Is a Love, this time holding us. There is a love holding us. There is a love holding all that we love. There is a love holding all. We rest in this love. Will you join me in prayer? We understand prayer in many different ways, yes? Some of us pray in words that we have learned since we were children. Some of us pray to a deity that we can picture in our minds. Some of us pray to something beyond ourselves that we can't define. Some of us don't call it prayer. Some of us meditate. Some of us just send good thoughts out to the universe, and sometimes we just say these things out loud to remember, to remind ourselves of the work we still need to do. However you understand prayer, I invite you to join me now. Spirit of life and love, divine one known to us in so many ways, by so many names, by no name and beyond all naming. We have come together as community today as temporary community, but we know that we are bound together. Even as we remember the independence of our nation, the birth of the United States 250 years ago. Help us to also remember that as an independent nation, we have responsibilities. We are still bound in community and must care for one another. Help us to do that work. Help us to be the hands, the feet, the voice of the divine as we go out in the world to build the beloved community together. We give thanks for the sharing of vegetables and garden harvest. We give thanks for the community being here together today. And we ask for strength for the continued work. We pray in the name of all that is holy. Amen. And let's sing that second verse of There Is a Love one more time. There is a love holding us. There is a love holding all that we love. There is a love holding all. We rest in this love.
Our reading this morning is the preamble to the Declaration of Independence. When in the course of human events it becomes necessary for one people to dissolve the political bands which have connected them with another, and to assume among the powers of the earth the separate and equal station to which the laws of nature and of nature's God entitle them, a decent respect to the opinions of mankind requires that they should declare the causes which impel them to the separation. We hold these truths to be self-evident, that all men are created equal, that they are endowed by their Creator with certain inalienable rights, that among these are life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness. That to secure these rights, governments are instituted among men, deriving their just powers from the consent of the governed. And that whenever any form of government becomes destructive of these ends, it is the right of the people to alter or to abolish it, and to institute new government, laying its foundation on such principles and organizing its powers in such form as to them shall seem most likely to affect their safety and happiness. Prudence, indeed, will dictate that governments long established should not be changed for light and transient causes. And accordingly, all experience hath shewn that mankind are more disposed to suffer, while evils are sufferable, than to right themselves by abolishing the forms to which they are accustomed. But when a long train of abuses and usurpations, pursuing invariably the same object, evinces a design to reduce them under absolute despotism, it is their right, it is their duty to throw off such government and to provide new guards of their future security. Such has been the patient sufferance of these colonies, and such is now the necessity which constrains them to alter their former systems of government. The history of the present King of Great Britain is a history of repeated injuries and usurpations, all having in direct object the establishment of an absolute tyranny over these states. To prove this, let facts be submitted to a candid world. Friends, I invite you now to rise, embody your spirit, and join in singing, "This Land is Your Land." Now, some folks have felt like this song is about ownership of land, but as we'll see, it's really troubling, that idea, in fact, of ownership. There's some sort of radical verses that often get kept out of the song that we've included. So, welcome. This land is your land, this land is my land.
From California to the New York Island, from the redwood forest to the Gulf Stream waters, this land was made for you and me. As I was walking that ribbon of highway, I saw above me that endless skyway. I saw below me that golden valley. This land was made for you and me. I've roamed and rambled, and I followed my footsteps to the sparkling sands of her diamond deserts, and all around me a voice was sounding. This land was made for you and me. When the sun came shining and I was strolling, and the wheat fields waving and the dust clouds rolling, as the fog was lifting, a voice was chanting, this land was made for you and me. As I went walking, I saw a sign there, and on the sign it said no trespassing. But on the other side, it didn't say nothing. That side was made for you and me. In the shadow of the steeple, I saw my people. By the relief office, I seen my people. As they stood there hungry, I stood there asking, is this land made for you and me? Nobody living can ever stop me as I go walking that freedom highway. Nobody living can ever make me turn back. This land was made for you and me. Let's sing the first verse again. This land is your land. This land is my land. From California to the New York Island. From the redwood forest to the Gulf Stream waters. This land was made for you and me. So, our sermon today is participatory, and it's more of a conversation. And Reverend Judd and I are going to start it out, and then we're going to invite you to participate as well. Okay. So. It's set at 68. I think it's doing the best it can. I know. It's because the more people are in here, the hotter it gets. So it's crept up. It's crept up from 77 when I came in this morning to 79 right now in here, I know. Yeah. It's not 60, it's set at 68. I think it's set at 73. I don't know. Let me see. Listen, we don't usually do this in the middle of a sermon, but I know, I appreciate it. Do you know?
I wonder if we could maybe move over a little bit to include everyone today.
Yeah.
Just a little bit
How do I? Let's turn fans on. We're going to turn fans on. Okay. Yeah, I don't know how to set that, but we can turn the fans on. Yes.
Thanks, everyone.
This wouldn't be a bad day to do a sermon on global warming, right? But that's not what we're going to do. So I'm going to start by asking Reverend Judd, is there a difference between independence and individualism?
Well, I've been thinking about this question, and can you hear me okay? No?
Yeah.
Okay.
Well, can you? Your mic is on fine. Do we need to turn up Reverend Judd's mic a little bit? Can we turn on just one of them? Mine's good. What color is yours? No, underneath. He's got the maroon one. It's on. He's got a deep voice.
Okay. So, independence and individualism. So, individualism is more like an ideology, right? It's more like a theology, a way to something you strive for, to be individualistic. And I, in my heart, I have a negative response because that says I'm supposed to, for my whole life, try to do everything on my own. I'm an introvert. I like to do things on my own, but not like that. I don't want to strive for that as something I want to be. Whereas independence, it seems to me, can be good or it can be bad. It kind of comes and goes. Like a committee at a church might decide or might be asked to do something independently of the board and then come back. Like independence is something you can kind of go in and out of. You can be independent, doing something on your own, going off for a weekend, or just reading by yourself, or then you can go back to community and be back in community. And I noticed also that in our call to worship, we talk about the dependence we have on each other. And for my whole life, I've been trying to learn that I don't have to do everything on my own, that I can ask for help, and that I don't need to be individualistic to kind of unlearn that.
Yeah, I think that sometimes, particularly in the United States, we can get way down that rabbit hole of rugged individualism, that like to a toxic place. And I'm sad to say that idea, it's kind of an Emersonian idea that people have taken to extremes. So, a former Unitarian minister. But I don't think even he meant it the way we take it sometimes. So I think sometimes we confuse independence for individualism, and we expect people to do things like pull yourself up by your bootstraps, which, as we know, is an impossibility. And by the way, when that was first coined, it was used as an example of how people are not able to do everything by themselves. You cannot pull yourselves up by your own bootstraps. So I think that there is a difference, but it's a subtle difference, and we're not really good at nuance anymore as a society. But I think that it's important to keep that in mind. You want to ask the next question?
Sure. So our UU values include interdependent. How does interdependence work with independence?
Yeah, I think interdependence is we can work independently. We can be independent bodies. So each congregation in the Unitarian Universalist Association is an independent body in that it's self-governed. We send delegates to the General Assembly. But we're still in community together, in covenant together in the larger Unitarian Universalist Association. And in that way, we are interdependent. Our nation is a federation of states. We have 50 separate independent states, and that's not counting the territories, which have no representation in Congress and the District of Columbia. No taxation without representation. So each state makes its own laws. Each state elects its own officials. We have a governor in each state. We have a state legislature in each state, and so on down to the communities. But we come together as an entire nation for the common good. We have laws that are federal laws, and we have laws that are state laws as well. We pay taxes. Taxes are supposed to be for the common good. So we can be independent. You can have an independent business. Anybody like to shop at independent businesses? Small local stores? Sure, but they're on public streets that are maintained by the society. They sometimes even share space in another business, or often, like in a downtown setting, they're at least in the same building or in a row of buildings. They're all connected. So they're independent, but if one of them catches fire and nobody does anything about it, they're all going to burn, right? So in that way, we're interdependent as well. I think that they are not mutually exclusive, but we have to define where the boundaries are. How about you?
I think.
Use the mic.
Oh, sure. I completely agree, and I like your example of a kind of municipality. Um, and it makes me think of public things. Um, there are fewer of them now than there used to be, it feels like. There's fewer public pools, fewer, like the library is so important to me and to our country, I believe. The public schools are important, but there's less and less public. But anything public shows you the interdependence, the need. You know, I can't manage to teach my kids by myself. I could try, but that would be very hard, and I depend on the public schools for that. So I'm grateful for the interdependence and where infrastructure supports our interdependence and allows us to be independent in certain things.
You know, you mentioned public pools, and we're in Massachusetts, which was not a segregated state. But I don't know if many of you know the history. Some of you I know have lived in the South, of public pools and private pools and segregation. When the Supreme Court ordered desegregation, finally, there are communities, and when I talk about the South, I don't mean just the states that broke away. I mean the South that was below the Mason-Dixon line. Maryland is below the Mason-Dixon line, right? There were communities that filled in their pools, their public pools, with concrete rather than allow people whose skin was darker to swim in them. And this also sprouted a big business in home pools. It used to be that the very wealthy were the only people who had pools, but people didn't want to share the community pool with people who didn't look like them, and so all of a sudden all these backyard pools started springing up. And I think that tells us something about independence and interdependence as well, and who we are as a nation, and what we're meant to be.
And I think just basic human decency, but also our universalist tradition that says no one gets left behind. Everyone is reconciled with the holy, with the sacred in the end, has to make us pause when we encounter something that separates in that dramatic a way, that says, no, we want this category of people out and these people in. Like, we have to be troubled by that and say, wait a minute, because that's absolutely, as an example, this is absolutely wrong, theologically and ethically. But in general, I think theologically we have to question things that separate people dramatically and give them different rights, of course.
So we have a question already.
You speak of the South. You speak of the South, but don't forget Boston and the bus problems.
So busing was an issue not just in Boston, in the Northeast in general, where we think that we don't segregate. Well, we do segregate by neighborhood, right? Redlining existed all over. Redlining is where people agreed that they wouldn't show houses, they wouldn't sell houses to black families. And so when busing hit the Northeast, I remember that I was little and I was watching the television news, and there was a protest in Canarsie in Brooklyn. I'm a New Yorker, I know. Canarsie is a neighborhood in Brooklyn. And I still remember, and this had to be 1970, and a white woman, of course, got interviewed and said, well, our children in Canarsie are smart. They'll be fine. We're holding them out of school. They'll be fine. We don't want those other children here. Oh, my goodness. I can almost still see her face. Yeah, it existed everywhere, but I was specifically, since we were talking about pools. So I have a question now. And I'm going to start with the two of us, and then we're going to open this up to the rest of you. Wait for the microphone, because we have people in here who need, and I'm sorry, I didn't say, but we have hearing assist devices here if you need, and also we have people watching at home, so we must use the microphone. But the question, oh, I keep losing my place. The question I'm going to ask you is, Reverend Judd, choose a UU value and pick a UU value and answer what you hope for this country through the lens of that value.
Thank you. So I'll pick generosity. And what I hope to see in that UU value, it makes me think of a poster I saw for the labor movement. And I don't know the total history around it, but it said 8 hours to work, 8 hours for sleep, 8 hours for what you will. And I love it because it's balanced, it's a healthy lifestyle, and it feels generous in a way. It feels generous because it allows for that 8 hours of do what you want. You know, it's about human life and well-being and health. So I'd like to see through the lens of generosity, I'd like to see a more generous economy, a more generous place to live where there isn't this, where the government lifts up people at the bottom, where we all lift up and concern ourselves with people who have very little, where we're kind of establishing a baseline for everyone's well-being and flourishing, for human flourishing instead of just accumulating money. So that's my hope.
I'm going to choose pluralism. I would like to see us truly be the plural nation that we keep saying we are. I spent most of my adult life in the Washington, D.C. metro area, so I was very saddened to see the brown shirts marching through D.C. yesterday and riding the metro. These fascists have existed in our country for a long time, probably forever. And they raise their heads boldly from time to time. This isn't the first time, and it probably won't be the last time. But we don't have to accept that vision. This nation was built largely on the backs of slaves. It was built on stolen land. And I would like to see us recognize all the people who have been here already, who were forced to be here, and who have come here by choice because we're only richer. We're only richer when we recognize that we are a plural nation. Even our motto, e pluribus unum, out of the many, one. I want us to celebrate that many and be a nation that we really, truly can celebrate. So I'm going to open this up, and I want to remind us of our UUA covenant, which holds love at the center. And if you know them, if you know JetPig, say it with me: justice, equity, transformation, pluralism, interdependence, and generosity. So pick a UU value and wait for the microphone. Tell us your vision for this country based on that value. Well, I'll hold the microphone. Do you have one? Eventually.
So I'm thinking about equity and economic equity. You know, I mean, the disparity between the wealthiest and the poorest in this country is just despicable. And it's getting worse and worse. And I'd like to see that change. There has to be laws. There has to be, you know, governmental things that change. To be perfectly honest, I was so grossed out by Taylor Swift's wedding with all those rich people and how much money that was concentrated there that could have been used for so much better purposes, you know, that's what I would like to see changed.
If you haven't been aware of this, Taylor Swift got married to a football player yesterday in Madison Square Garden and blocked off a lot of the city, like disrupted New York City on July 4th to do that, even though she donated something like 24 million, 26 million. Yeah. But, it was almost an apology tax, right? So I agree with you. Okay.
But also, the 26 million she asked for no gifts. I guess that's supposed to mean something, but yeah. So yeah, I was thinking that too. That she donated 26 million, but she can put that in her tax write-off. So yeah, it's like, oh, that's great. She gave 26 million, and it's like, yeah, but she can get a tax break. So that's what I wanted to say.
Anyone else has a UU value that you have a vision for our nation?
This kind of follows on what you said, Eileen. In equality, there is such a trend and pressure for classism in this country. It's getting worse and worse. And so every time I see a service, you can sign up for a better service if you pay more money. And I resent it, and where's it going to lead? It's just part of the divide us will fall.
One of the things that we say every week in our covenant is to serve all life with compassion. And this really speaks deeply to me, especially with regard to the whole concept of interbeing and animal welfare and what's happening with our environment. And it is my hope, my deepest hope, that we begin to view our environment and all the animals and plants within it as ourselves, as one, and that we take steps to make radical improvements and changes toward that end.
Yesterday, in the early morning, I wore a patchwork skirt. And it wasn't red, white, and blue. It was all colors. And what struck me as I was wearing it is how this shabby old skirt could be such a sweet symbol of what America might be. Each patchwork distinct, each patch distinct, and each patch seamlessly joined.
I like that, Margaret. Thank you.
I'll do justice. I just feel like wish the Republicans and Democrats could get together and do what's right and follow, and that the Supreme Court would follow the law, and it's not just what Donald Trump wants. You finally get a budget where you get the Republicans and Democrats to finally agree, and Trump won't sign it because he doesn't like it. It's just terrible that they should be doing what's right, not just following Trump because they're scared of him.
Okay.
I'll pick transformation, and I was just thinking about the word itself, trans, going from one place to another, and form, changing form. I hope this country can get to the point where we can go from where we are now to where we want to be, to realize all the potential we have that I think is summed up nicely in our principles there at the bottom of the banner there. So that's what I would like to see.
Thank you. Oh, in case you didn't, if you can see it, it's all on the bottom of the banner there. Yeah. So we've hit all of them. Does anybody else have a? Okay, I'm going to throw a question out that we didn't write down. How do we do all this with love at the center? I'll let you all think about that.
I think with love at the center, I know when I see things online in particular, I want to respond right away. But I think having love at the center is being in your body, maybe slowing down in how you're talking to someone, talking with someone, or reacting to something, kind of slowing it down, and so that you remember that love is at the center. Um, that's how I'm learning to do that, because it's very easy in these times to kind of I want to say fly off the handle. I think anger can be very good and empowering, but at the same time to keep love at the center. I think of my body when I say that. So keeping love in my heart as I travel through the world seems a way to keep that at the center.
So, for those of you who attended General Assembly this year, I hope you saw the Ware lecture and Bishop Marion Buddy. Oh my goodness, she was magnificent. And if you haven't seen it, if it's made public, I entreat you to watch it. She was magnificent. We don't have bishops, but we invite them in to speak to us, right? And she talked about this dignity index that's been developed, and it goes from 1 to 8. 1 being the worst, the absolute. We don't ascribe any dignity to. It's complete othering, and when we talk about an enemy, 8 being completely understanding and having compassion for the other. And that sticks with me. And there's a daily, for those of you who do all the daily games on your phone, Wordle, and I do about, I don't even know how many, Wordle and Global and Statal, and anyway, now I do the Daily Dignity. There's a Daily Dignity game that gives you a statement, and you have to figure out where on the index, what number it is, and then then it tells you how close you were, and there's 1 every day. So right, yeah, cool. It makes you think. It's daily. If you look up Daily Dignity, okay, so Daily Dignity game or Dignity Index, yeah. So how do you hold love at the center in the context that we're talking about while we strive for these things for our nation?
I think just being kind and compassionate. I think a lot of people do not believe in the kindness of strangers. And I mean, even myself, sometimes somebody will make an effort to do something good, and you're like, oh no, what are they going to do? Is it, going to be good or bad? And then it turns out to be good. Like, somebody offers to help you with their luggage, and you're like, oh no, are they going to take off with it? Or, are they going to be nice? But, I try to be kind as much as possible, and, I know a lot of people that do. And, it's refreshing when you see more and more people that do it, but there are still so many people that don't or have compassion for people who are not as fortunate as you. Just, giving.
Thanks, Kathy. Sharing.
I'm thinking that love is a requirement for interdependence.
Okay, love is a requirement for interdependence. Here, Pam, and then Margaret.
I think it's important to keep in mind that the principles identified so nicely on that posted cloth there, that we need to keep in mind what are the basic strivings within people that we can take into account. Love, I often see as a search for self-worth, and for someone to say, I love you, means often I see worth in you. And to not have worth is to experience shame, one of the most damaging emotions that people encounter. And I think we need to increase dialogue about that.
Thank you. Pam?
This is kind of what you were saying, Reverend Judd, about taking time. And you mentioned that our country's not being too good at nuance these days. And nuance takes time. You have to step back from your first response and try and figure out what's going on. And it just takes more time. And we don't want to give time.
It takes time. Okay, Margaret's going to be the last one because
Affirm what Pam said. We're so used to yes and no answers, and we're not comfortable with the in-betweens and dialogue, and I think we need more dialogue.
okay, I'm good. You're going to be the last one because we could stay here and do this all day. Which okay, but you probably don't want to stay here and do this all day.
So I want to just talk about generosity and love. And I just want to thank all of you for being here today so that I could be here today. And I'm just feeling just like the gratitude and love for all of you and the caring that you have for this country and for this world. And I know it can feel sad and hard, but at the same time, there's so much goodness that I see everywhere in all of us. So just thank you.
Thank you. That's a nice one to end on. We did write more questions, but I think that in the interest of not turning this into Baptist church, you know that goes on for a long time. We're gonna wrap up the. Thank you for being part of our. Our sermon. This is the time in the service that we have set aside usually for our invitation to the offering and for our offering. And over the summer, because we're in this consortium, we are giving our plate. But friends, I tried to find out and I can't remember. I don't remember who the service organization is. So does anybody here from CASA? It is CASA, that's right. Okay, so it's CASA, which is doing tremendous work right now for immigrant justice and really important work here in the area. So you can, on your way out, you can leave your offering in that red basket that's by the door, because we don't have ushers today, so they're not going to pass it around, and we don't have musicians, so we're not going to have an offer to, what, no? People can, it's fine. This is casual church, yeah? Look, I'm not even wearing a robe. It's casual church. But we are still going to dedicate the offering. And the words are in your order of service. We're going to dedicate it in anticipation. Please join me to the work of the church, which is weaving a tapestry of love and action. We dedicate our lives and these our offerings. Amen.
Amen.
And now I do invite you to rise in body or spirit for our final hymn, which is America the Beautiful. This was composed by Catherine Lee Bates, who was born in Falmouth and was graduated from Wellesley. She taught in Natick, at high school in Natick, and also at Wellesley College. She was and we're going to sing verses 1 and 4, and they're on this sheet. On the back of This Land Is Your Land. Oh, beautiful for spacious skies, for amber waves of grain, for purple mountain majesties above the fruited plain. Amen. shining sea. Oh, beautiful for patriot dream that sees beyond the years. Thine alabaster cities gleamed, undimmed by human tears. America, America, God shed their grace on thee, and crown thy good with brotherhood from sea to shining sea. Wonderful. Beloveds, go in peace, go in love, go independently, knowing that we are connected, supported, and loved by one another. Go always in the footsteps of the holy. Amen. And now, if Reverend Judd will extinguish our flame, we extinguish our chalice flame, for our worship has ended and our service begins. Normally we would have a postlude now, but you are invited to stay right in here and enjoy some of the drinks and food that have been put. Who brought the food today? Thank you. We got a couple of people brought food today. Thank you for that. And eventually, when you're not ready to, when you don't want to sit down anymore, if you could take your one chair, and we're going to pile them up, but if everybody does a little, then nobody has to do a lot. Thank you.